Holy moly, Virgo. This is some crazy stuff. I was filming and then it just shut off on its own. I don't know why, but I'm going to start over. This is like crazy. Are you having a lot of interruptions or like a lot of noise going on around you that you feel like you can't concentrate? Or Jesus, I'm feeling like a lot of confusion or feeling flustered. You must have a lot. I feel like you got a lot going on, Virgo. This is crazy. This is a separation to a soulmate union. I'll just continue on. Past life soulmate. Someone you had a lot of years with, a year, possibly 6 months. Someone that you knew and you had a close soul tie. This is a separation to it now. This is a parting of ways. This is no longer wanting to see the memories and trying to no longer reminisce about the good times. You're trying to get out of it because the truth has been shown. Maybe about a particular person or about your feelings about this situation or but whatever it is, it made you feel unsettled and unhappy in the situation, and you became passionate into trying to move forward and seeing what else was out there. Maybe maybe you just felt like you were no longer settled and you weren't happy, so what you feel on the inside reflected on the outside, and it caused a lot of fights and issues, and then suddenly a big blow up happened and it caused a very sudden, unexpected ending. And now you feel wounded and defensive because whatever this was, it was really, really big, and this is something like things were said or things were done that can't be taken back, and now you feel like there's nothing else you can do except try to protect yourself at this point. And because it's already got so bad that maybe any interaction is not going to make it any better. Now, maybe the truth is, whoever you were dealing with, Virgo, was that, you just didn't, it just seems like whatever this truth was, it just made you unhappy. Who you were dealing with, they feel like they were coming from lack. 6 of Coins. They felt like they had to hold on to you, maybe because they didn't have the means or they felt like maybe they felt obligated somehow, or you to them. But it's like they wanted to help, or maybe they were breadcrumbing you, is really what it was. Maybe these people were, 6 of Coins, yeah. Maybe they felt like they were helping you, or they needed to help you, or they were obligated to you in some way. Maybe they felt like they were being taken advantage of a little, I suppose. Like maybe that they were fitting the bill for a lot of things, and they became kind of like they were looking out for their ships to come in too. Maybe they felt like that they had to that they were trying to help you for a really long time, or they felt that they were giving you a lot, and maybe they started to feel kind of taken advantage of. 3 of Clubs, and they started to be like, well, maybe you got stuff ahead of you, and when it'll be time that you'll chip in, or maybe I'm not really all this happy because I feel like I give more than I get, and they're looking out for better things too, you know. And maybe maybe they went cold somehow in some ways too. Maybe that they spread themselves thin. They got a lot of active social life too, and you know, and maybe they have a way of kind of ignoring you sometimes as well. You feel kind of like, because they spread themselves thin, but they're looking, at this point, they feel like they're given a lot. They spread themselves thin. They were looking out to the horizon for better, I suppose, or they just felt disillusioned with, not really better, but they felt disillusioned in the situation, and maybe they were starting to think, because, you know, they felt like they were giving out a lot. So now, movement comes forward. They want to move forward to something, towards something. It's like they want to move forward to something different. They want balance now, you know. It's like maybe they're moving forward to be like, they're moving forward because they want more balance in the situation. Maybe they felt like you were kind of like passing them over as well. And maybe they try to address that with you. They wanted balance, though. They wanted a... So maybe they went towards to try to balance things within their own life. Maybe they felt unbalanced for a really long time. And maybe they came to you to try to balance things and try to speak their mind about them feeling like that they're not getting what they're receiving, you know, or they're giving a lot more than they're receiving, and they wanted to talk to you about it, and it causes conflict, and it causes a huge fight. And then maybe they wanted to speak to you about it, and they spoke the truth, and maybe they held it in for so long that they came out really kind of over the top, and then you became defensive, that you didn't really want to hear it, you know. Now, situation, King of Cups initially, you could have, you had a lot of love for this situation, you know. There was a lot of love for this situation, and it was like a lot of, you know, it was a lot of giving to this situation, and it's definitely karmic. It was like a new cycle of this, like maybe you got together and broke up a couple of times, and maybe when you met each other, like you felt like this was a brand new fortunate cycle that you're willing to, like, you know, a journey you're willing to embark on. It's definitely karma. It's a strong soul tie that pulled you guys together. And initially it seems like good luck and fortune, but the thing about the wheel, it never just stays, right? It keeps on turning. What comes up also comes down. Nothing's ever perfect. So you're going to have good and bad times, right? But then when you met him, it was all love. His new cycle is beautiful, good fortune. And you both gave to the situation. You felt like it was fated. And I believe it is. At least, you know, it's a soulmate union. Now, what came up definitely came down. 10 of Swords. You know, a bunch of conflict, a lot of fighting, bickering, and then anxiety, resentment, small betrayals. You know, it just kept on adding up, and then it became an end, and, you know, you felt like maybe you gave it a good shot, you know, but it's like maybe either one of you didn't feel like the other was investing enough. They felt like, you know, they were giving a lot more than they were getting, and they wanted more investment, or maybe you were kind of hesitant in dealing with the situation, and you were just seeing what was the benefit of it, and I don't know, maybe maybe you guys were slow to really invest in it. Either one of you was, and that caused a lot of problems and betrayal, feelings of being betrayed, you know, because somebody started to feel used. Okay, let me close this door. Bring my cards. It's windy today. Now, now you guys, maybe you had your you had your good times and your bad times, but you know, it just started to be more bad times than good. And because somebody feels like the other one wasn't really investing, you know, and they wanted more investment. I don't know which one, but you know, Magician, it's like after this ending, maybe you started putting things away, like money away, and kind of like started to make plans to manifest for yourself. Maybe it's time to manifest and focus on yourself instead of something that's not working, because it's not like you're a bad person because, you know, your feelings have changed, but maybe it's about the way that it's handled, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it could have been handled a little better. You know, the Magician. The Magician, this is the Virgo card too, but it's somebody, you know, who manifests things like their intentions into the tangible world using tangible means and ritual. And they could also be seen as someone who practices sleight of hand, that does things kind of like covertly sometimes to get a certain result, or manifest something in particular, like maybe you knew for a while that your feelings have changed, but you kind of stayed in the situation, and then that's what brought a lot of resentment and, you know, unhappiness. Because although you self-realized about how you were feeling about the situation, it's like I don't think it was handled the best way, because once this truth was revealed, like, you went at it with, like, you know, possibly a little impulsively, and, you know, it was like really aggressive, and it caused a huge fight. Maybe you felt passed over, or you felt unappreciated yourself, and this person you're dealing with felt unappreciated too, you know. And now, Three of Clubs. Ooh. So, looking out, this is waiting for your ships to come in now, and it's like you moving forward, you have plans to move forward. Now this person you're dealing with, Six of Coins, maybe they were spreading themselves thin with other people. This is the Three of Clubs. I don't know why I didn't notice this before. Maybe they hung out with their friends a lot and you felt like they weren't spending a lot of time with you. Maybe you felt like there was another person, or maybe you felt like there is always a third person involved. In a Three of Clubs, it could be anything, like family members, or, you know, work, or, you know, your partner's family members, and it was like they were always trying to deal with other things, and maybe they were trying to smooth things out with family members, and it was like they had a lot of things going, and it doesn't even, I don't think it was a third person, to be honest. I don't feel like that, but felt like they had a lot of stuff going, and it could have been, who knows, maybe it could have been, but I feel like this could be anything. It could have been being overworked, it could have been dealing with family issues, and this is what I really feel like it was, or, you know, possibly it was, I don't know, you know your situation, but they wanted to move forward, to have a little more balanced life, because they felt like their life was getting out of control. And it's like they were trying to get some perspective on the situation, or trying to level with you, or tell them that, hey, you know, maybe I've been kind of like spread a little thin, maybe I've been dealing with other things and family issues, or, you know, like work issues, I don't know. But they wanted to come and make balance. Maybe they were trying to, maybe they have a lot of friends and families, like so much that they are always the one that's trying to put out fires all of the time. And it's like there's always people involved all of the time, and you feel like you're passed over, because like there's constantly family issues, there's constantly friend issues, and it's like you're like, when is it ever me too, you know? I feel like I'm being kind of ignored, maybe, because they're dealing with so much stuff. You feel passed over. They try to work it out with you, but you know, it ended up to be a fight and conflict, and maybe they're dealing with a lot, and this is how that they're kind of like, maybe they take out what's going on with them on you sometimes too. And you know, but then it became a huge fight. Maybe they're dealing with a lot of conflict around them, a lot of people like talking about them, but initially the situation, I mean, it was a good situation. It was a new cycle to something brand new and fortunate, but then it didn't work out. Too many small betrayals that that's like a death by 1,000 cuts. It's like too many, and it's like maybe you've even spoken about the same kind of issues before, but you feel like you're never heard, or vice versa. Maybe the other person, but it's just constant small betrayals, and then people started holding back and wanting to manifest something new and see what else is out there. So this soulmate union, I mean, maybe you felt like you were in this situation out of lack. Maybe you felt like you weren't doing all that great with money, and maybe it became like you guys moved in together because of that. Like you both shared bills and a shared home or something, and it was out of lack. Like you felt like it was killing two birds with one stone, I guess. Maybe you weren't doing well with money, but you lived together, kind of like sharing those expenses, because someone was willing to do that. Maybe someone you were dealing with has Scorpio in their chart, you know, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, yeah, exactly. And they were willing to do that because, you know, maybe you both threw in when you could, and you helped each other at the time. Now, whatever this truth came about that made itself known, this realization that maybe maybe a third person did come into play. Three of Clubs. Maybe you were looking to expand your life somehow. Maybe you were getting some kind of opportunity, or, you know, and it's like maybe you knew that there was a move on the horizon, and you had plans to expand something new, and this was going to be a whole brand new cycle. It could have been a new job, maybe a new love interest, maybe a move in general. But this King of Clubs here, maybe you did have passion for something new, and you wanted to go towards it, and you wanted to move away from this situation, and, you know, instead of just being honest and leaving, it's like just constant fights, and you know, until it got so toxic because you kept it in and you stayed resentful because you felt like you had to. You felt like you were financially bound in it, like maybe you were out of work and you didn't have any savings, or you didn't have a place to live at the time and you felt like stuck and you couldn't get out of it. And you had passion for something new, you felt stuck, and you know, it's like you can't hide your unhappiness anymore because it comes out. Maybe there's a lot of things that bothered you that you didn't say, or that they didn't say a lot of things that bothered you. Maybe one of you felt really oppressed, and you know, it's like whatever this resentment kept on building up, and then it caused a violent, sudden, and unexpected ending. But then, you know what? This ending needed to happen. This breaks down these faulty foundations that it wasn't meant to last, and then Spirit comes down and breaks it off because it was like it was keeping you stuck from going to your life path as Him. And when you're in that situation and you're stuck in this situation and you feel like you're being thrown off your life path, and universe, or even you, with unconscious, subconscious thoughts, more like unconscious thoughts that kind of manifest your environment into being an ending. But it was needed because it brought balance. And it made both of you a little more careful and start holding back where you need to. Maybe the situation became too enmeshed and it's like one of you weren't allowed to feel what the other felt. Or, I mean, one of you weren't allowed to feel opposite than what the other felt. Like if one person felt like crap, the other one had to as well. And this brings balance back into it. And it taught you guys a little more boundaries and to hold back for yourself. Yeah, and to be defensive. You have to feel defensive now because you feel wounded, and because it's like maybe you were unhappy in the situation. Initially you weren't honest, and it kept on quiet, building up this pressure like a pressure cooker, and it caused so much conflict, and it was so bad. Like the ending was so bad. You feel like you have to be defensive. You have to protect yourself because it was really bad. The ending was really bad, and you feel hurt too. Even if this is what you wanted, doesn't mean it didn't hurt, you know. All of the conflicts and fighting. This is competition, this is gaslighting, this is defensiveness. Maybe this person is just dealing with so much conflict too on all fronts, and then he felt attacked. So what happens when people feel attacked on all sides? They kind of lash out. Sometimes you don't even have to be part of the reasoning why they lash out either, though. Sometimes you are, but like saying this person has a fight with their family and they come and yell at you, you know, and that's why you felt defensive, or vice versa. But after this ending, you became defensive, and they're still argumentative. And maybe that this was, even though this is what you wanted and manifested, doesn't mean you're happy about how it ended, right? But you're ready to move on. You feel like this was, the time together was at its end, and you know, it's okay, like I said, to change your feelings about something. But it's kind of unfair if you're not honest about it. And kind of let the other person I don't even know what that is. And it would just be a fair thing to just be honest about your situation with people, right? Because, like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a change of feelings, but it's just the way you handle it, because you have to remember that although you feel like your time's done, it brings a certain amount of karma of what kind of energy that you put out to get the result that you want and what you want at the time being, without letting this other person know and giving them a fair chance, you know, and not a fair chance, but maybe about getting what you can from other people until you're at that point, you know. Maybe that brings a certain amount of karma as well, that when you depend on people that you dislike, but then yet you still take all the benefits of it. It's something to think about. Bottom of the deck, the Sun. This is realizing things that you haven't noticed before, shining the light into the darkness about your own shadow side. We all have them. We all have our shadow side. And it's important to acknowledge the dark sides of ourselves so we can be more aware and conscious of what comes out and what we're capable of. And if we refuse to see it, then the fault is always with other people and we don't improve, right? But I'll go ahead and why shadow work is really helpful. And you do that by kind of acknowledging that our parts and the way we play and into our parts and our responsibilities and the parts we actually play into every situation. It's never just that person. It takes two to tango, and maybe there's certain unconscious beliefs or habits that we've accumulated or triggers that we don't even realize that's there and drives us to do things that we didn't think we were capable of. And trust me, it's hard to do that shadow work. It's hard to accept things about yourself because you always want to think good about yourself, but you got to be honest too. That being human, we both have dark and light, and until you integrate both of those aspects of yourself, you never really truly see things as they truly are, because it becomes like a shadow of so past your awareness, and you wonder why you keep on doing the things you do or being in the situations that you are. You keep repeating situations that you are, but yet a lot of times, actually every time, there's a certain amount of responsibilities that we have to take to put ourselves in that situation though, right? Like, did we just stay in a relationship for financial reasons? Or, you know, and then you could just tell yourself that you're unhappy. Well, I'm just unhappy, they're just not the right person, they're just not doing anything right, you know, it's them, it's them, it's them. But a lot of times it's like, you know, it's really being honest with yourself and asking yourself, why is it that I'm so resentful at them? Is because they didn't live up to my expectations? Why do I get disappointed? Because do I stay in situations that make me unhappy? but I got a couple of cards for universe as advice. Universe for Virgo. Advice from the universe for Virgo. Advice for Virgo. Advice for Virgo. Universe. What's your advice for Virgo? So, kind of a lot what I've been thinking and what I've been saying. It's time to really think about your situation and the way you feel about things and the unconscious feelings and thoughts that drive you to do certain things and make certain decisions. Do you feel like you do things out of lack? Do you feel like, or who knows what it could be? It's time to go within and really think about the situation that, you weren't really happy. And maybe because you felt like they were responsible for your happiness, maybe. And you felt like you felt disappointed by this person because you expected them to make you happy. And when they didn't, you have to ask yourself why that is. And because happiness doesn't come from a person, it comes from you and from within, and by doing the things that you love and feel passionate about. Because if you depend on another person to make you happy, then you're always going to feel just disappointed, like you didn't get what you want. But it's not the person, because if you go to every person not feeling unhappy within, you just become that situation over and over again, expecting someone to make you happy and them disappointing you. And to be fair, what was your part in the part of what you played in the situation? Were you really fair in the situation by holding certain feelings back? Maybe that you're unhappy for a while and just causing conflict on it, or maybe because you stayed in a situation too long and then you took it out on this person, or maybe they took it out on you too much. But it's really important to be fair and accept the part you had to play in this. And maybe there were times that you were unfair in the situation, that you didn't see things as in a balanced way as they did. But there's always, takes two to tango. And it's never just one person, right? When there is a breakdown to a relationship, sometimes one more than the other, but usually there's two people that play those parts, right? And it's time to reconcile. Maybe that's done because you have this, when you feel disappointed and you feel this disappointment and you project that disappointment and unhappiness, or them not being able to make you feel happy, and was because there's some healing that you need to do within your own inner child. Maybe you felt like you have to depend on other people for your happiness because maybe you've had family members or parents that weren't really all that supportive emotionally, and you try to find that within your partners, that love and acceptance and that feeling to be like totally content. And maybe this is some deep healing that you're trying to go towards, and how much of this, this is, or acknowledge, you have these scars, these inner childhood wounds that you have to acknowledge, and this is and it's to be fair that this is what makes you unhappy, and it's time to really think about that. why you could never find happiness with anyone that you're with, and why they always disappoint you. It's because there's some healing that needs to be done within you. And because possibly a lot of this lack of healing, it made you have a lot of rigid beliefs and rigid ideas, like you want things done a certain way, and if not, then it's all wrong, or it's like, or it needs to be, they need to think exactly what you want when you want it, and if not, then they're not the right one for you. But that this stotch kind of like lack of flexibility maybe is you, this defense mechanism to try to control the situation around you and the people around you, because you have a healing that you need to do within yourself as well. But that's what I got for you, Virgo. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm sorry for all the interruptions. And I'll talk to you next month. Bye. Or